The Tema Development Corporation will mark some more buildings as unsafe in the coming days after successfully evicting over 400 occupants from Kaizer flats this morning. Majority of the occupants had voluntarily moved out of their flats before the intended forceful eviction. Matuda Fomaga has been there and has come through with this report.
The 4 flats were marked as unsafe, whilst the Tema Development Corporation secured a court order to move the occupants. The mass eviction by the TDC is to pave way for demolition of 4 of the multi-story flats. With heavy police and military presence, officials of the TDC ensured not a single person was left in the building. The corporation also dismissed suggestions the eviction is selective. Chief Engineer Edward Sanjog says more unsafe buildings will go down in the coming days.
In the coming days, we want to immediately do a hoarding so that it will prevent people from going back to the flats, because we are actually very serious to make sure that these flats come down so that lives are not endangered.
Sure. We know that it's only 4 flats that have been marked by TDC. There are several other flats. How are you going to ensure that indeed these people who have already moved out of their rooms will not find access into their rooms again?
Yeah, that's why I said that we are going to build a hoarding around it. We will hoard the whole place so that it will be very difficult for people to go back into the flats.
I realize that the entire place have been cordoned off. Some people still have their belongings on the corridor. What are we going to do to all these things that are here? Because the people themselves cannot be seen.
Okay, we are expecting that those whose materials and things are on the corridor should come and pack them. And I think NADMO has put an arrangement in place to make sure that all those people vacate this place premises, because it has been declared a dangerous zone.
Sure. Engineer, I am not a building expert, but the little I have seen touring this place since morning, I realized that there are other flats which haven't been marked as the danger zone, as you put it. But I see some in a very, very terrible state. What is going to happen to the remaining flats?
The remaining flats, we have also those flats in mind in future to make sure that those ones too are demolished. But a plan will be put in place to get the people who occupy those flats to move out. And then when the place is free, then we can go ahead with our demolition and construction.
So for these 4 flats that have been marked, when are we going to see it all coming down?
It won't take too long. We are still discussing the modalities. We are trying to see how we can get competent consultants and contractors who can help us bring down the buildings without any damage to property.
But is there a plan as to what the TDC intends to do with these with this area when these buildings go down in the coming days?
Yes, there is, because our intention is to bring down these old flats and reconstruct new ones. So we have an intention of redeveloping the place. And when it is done, people will start seeing new flats coming up. That is our intention.
Well, I know that these buildings, if not built at the same time, at least they were built within the same year. Why have we marked 4 and left others? Yesterday, when I interacted with some of the residents, they talked about selective eviction. Is that a case here?
That is not the case. These 4 are those that are in a very deplorable state. If you enter into some of them, you will see that even the slabs are falling. And so that is the reason why we have decided that these 4 have been declared dangerous, and then we have to bring them down immediately. We have plans for the other ones, but these are the ones that are in a very terrible state. So it is not a question of selective eviction, but we want to make sure that lives and properties are safe. Yeah, once those people have legally acquired their properties, those ones, it will not be a question of just coming in to eject them. At least before you move them out, you have to put a plan in place, at least for resettling them. Maybe if it's a question of getting some flats somewhere and moving them out to those places. We'll look at all those modalities.
Are we doing same for the over 400 who have been evicted from the 4 flats we talk now?
The 4 flats that we have evicted them this morning, what happened was that the legal occupants were compensated. We gave them lands to move.
What form of compensation was that?
Them lands to move.
When was that?
It's about some, I don't actually remember, but it's a very long time. It's a very long time.
Was it lands given to them free of charge?
That one I may not be in the position to answer, but I know that they were given lands. We told them that the flats were in a very dangerous state. So they were given lands to move. So the real occupants, the real tenants had moved. The people that we are evicting today, most of them are strangers.
Meanwhile, the National Disaster Management Organization is offering temporary shelter for evictees in need of such assistance. Here is Director General of NADMO, Nana Ajiman Prempe.
So what we're going to do is, as soon as possible, we will do it, because children will be playing around. Even though people are not out for children, you cannot prevent them from coming around to play. What about if something happens? So we need to do it. Going around, if you're walking on the stairs, you realize that there's something wrong with the building. So the technocrats advise us accordingly. So we're not going to waste time at all. We're going to deal with the TDC and TMA and make sure it is done.
It appears majority of these occupants have already moved out of their rooms. It's only a few of them who are still hanging around. Some I interacted with who told me they do not have anywhere to go. Does NADMO have a plan for them?
Yes, our work consists of reconstruction and relief. So it is not about being interested in getting people evicted alone. Relief aspect, we look at it. There's one woman we've realized will not get anywhere. And the TEMA, NADMO, and TDC are working hand in hand to get her a place, a safe havens. The regional director of Greater Accra is here. He just told me they are getting some mattresses and others to get them somewhere to stay. So we are looking at all those. But the people, the residents, I must commend them. They've comported themselves well, because many of them left voluntarily. That is so good for us. And then there's only one woman who has gone to court for court injunction and order, which we don't have power over what court has done. So we are waiting for the court to take a decision. She's the only person. I have just gone to her, and I'm even advising her that looking at this big community, everybody is gone and you alone, even the security of it, I mean, it's not a good thing. So I have advised her if she would vacate on her own. But we can't force her because of the court order. That is what is happening. So everybody is gone. The one person who cannot get a place, like I rightly said, we've looked for a place for
Where's the safe haven you were talking about?
Where we do not want to disclose where people are going to stay, for security reasons. But it is within Tema Metropolis.
How big is this place and how many people can that accommodate?
The family. That family who have nowhere to go, they are going there.
How long does NADMO intend to keep these people in this safe haven?
Well, first things first. They are going there. We're managing for them to go and get a place to stay. At least they have to sleep today, tomorrow, and the next day. Whilst there, they will be looking for. It is not our responsibility to get a permanent place for them forever. No. So we've gotten a place for them.
Now, the premises are cordoned off, but it's still littered with a few belongings of those who lived here. As of 12 p.m. today, none of the personnel securing entry of the flats were at post, leaving concerns squatters may soon take over. It is unclear how the TDC intends to keep such squatters away from these flats after the eviction.
That's a developing story. We'll follow it and bring you more as and when we have it.